News Business.
You're watching PM Agenda. Good to have you with us this afternoon. Now, as we mentioned earlier in the program, the government is looking very carefully at what can be done about the number of Australians who have joined the fight with the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant in Syria and Iraq. 150 Australians are thought to be there, about 100, the Foreign Minister said today, actively involved in fighting. Some of them are dual citizens, others are born and bred here and just Australian citizens. What can the government do? Cancelling passports, cancelling citizenship, as well as further intelligence gathering powers. I'm joined now by the Immigration Minister, Scott Morrison. Thanks for your time.
Adam.
You did indicate, as I understand, to the party room today that most of the Australians we're talking about here aren't dual citizens.
That's right.
So they are born and bred Australian citizens.
Well, they're both citizens, obviously. Those who are dual citizens are equally citizens, but the majority are not dual citizens.
Which means, well, what does it mean? Is it limited in what you can do to stop them coming back to Australia?
Well, that would only relate to if the government were to take the step of cancelling the citizenship of a dual citizen, which is a fairly extreme step. It's not a step the government currently has as one of its plans of action, but it's certainly not something we've ruled out. But what our intelligence agencies and others we work with to identify at the border is to ensure that if people present at the border, and they could be presenting in any number of guises, then we're in a position to both stop them and detain them, and to ensure that we take the next steps of criminal action, prosecutions.
What power do you have with a dual citizen to actually cancel their Australian citizenship?
Well, there is no such power under the Citizenship Act as present. Such a power could be sought through a change to legislation, but at present there is no such power. The only way that can be done under the Act is if someone fights with a foreign power, so fights with another army, a sovereign army, against the Australian army.
Which ISIL is not a foreign...
Well, those circumstances don't apply in this situation.
Would you consider changing the law to give yourself that power?
Well, I said it's not a step that the government is currently taking. At the present, our first wave of response deals with cancelling passports and ensuring we are right on top of what's happening on the border if people present on either the way in or the way out, and that we're in a position to have a proper authorities and alerts which are well understood and properly informed, so officers who are on that front line can act.
But if you cancel the passport, can an Australian citizen still get back into the country?
Yes.
So that in itself isn't going to stop.
No, but those
coming back.
In order for someone to get back, though, they would have to present themselves to a consulate or an embassy, and then go through quite a process to get back to Australia. Now, they're hardly going to arrive without fanfare in those circumstances, and if they were then to present at the border, then we'd take the necessary action.
Okay, but to be clear on the power that you have or don't have at the moment, will you look at enhanced powers for the Immigration Minister to cancel citizenship in this event that someone's been fighting with a terrorist group?
Well, again, at our steps at present in this first wave of response is to cancel passports and to ensure that our checks at the border are such that we can identify people who we believe may have been up to this or supporting it or be associated with it, and to deal with them at the border. Now, that is for those who manage to get back that far. But cancelling passports will make it difficult for people to get back to Australia, but it obviously doesn't make it impossible.
And what can you do at the border to make sure these people are at least identified?
Well, we can immediately identify them, and through not just in how they might obviously present, but our alerts are quite sophisticated, and we've been doing a lot of work on those alerts over the last 4 months. I put the agencies on alert some time ago, and they've been tightening up the system, tightening the net, working with other agencies to ensure that the information that is available to the line officers and those who support them and the others who are there are working closely with the AFP and ASIO and other agencies to ensure that we can identify them, stop them, and then deal with them.
Bottom line, though, if someone has been fighting with ISIL in Iraq or Syria...
Well, they're breaking our laws and the laws of other countries too.
But they then seek to return to Australia. If they are an Australian citizen, there's little you can do to stop them coming back.
Well,
presumably they'd be jailed, but...
well, that's the point.
Yes, but they would be back in Australia.
Yeah, they're Australian citizens, and they would have the right to return to Australia, unless, if they're a dual citizen, that right was removed for them or in some way suspended or qualified. But they are legislative options, and the government is not considering that at present, but we certainly haven't ruled any of this out. I mean, this is a very serious issue, as we all know, and we're monitoring the developments on a daily basis, and I'm working with my colleagues, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Attorney-General is absolutely central to this process, and of course the Minister of Defence.
Immigration Minister Scott Morrison, thanks for that.
Thanks, David.
I'm going to turn now to the